He did exactly what I was doing. Up here. Up here. Now you gotta come now.
I'm gonna get my shoes on.
Yay!
Papaya. These are the enemy number one in a tropical food forest. They're the leaf cutters. If you want, I can show you. Getting ants. These are the. There's always something that wants to eat your leaves, and these are the leaf cutters that are taking the leaves away from the fruit trees. So they're actually enemy number one for me. Yeah, let's come into the forest.
Let's come into the garden more.
Yeah, there's an array of different ways you can do it. I'd say I'm 100% organic except for leaf cutters.
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah.
Here we're planting moringa, and they're always broken moringas. If you found what they like it, plant a lot. Don't fight them.
We also have achote or annatto, which is the lipstick tree used in lots of different cooking, and to Nicaragua they use it for the chicken, and her lips are nice and red from this. Here we have a Blackberry Jam Fruit, which has a couple of small fruits. If you're gonna Google that, look, Blackberry Jam Fruit will come up with way too many other things. So this is Randia formosa. It's an interesting fruit that has blackberry jam already made on the inside. Here we have a caviar lime.
The mulberry.
I see a bucket caviar lime. Finger lime. Yeah.
Cool.
Behind is the garlic vine.
Correct.
Oh, let's all try the garlic vine.
This is the vine that smells just like garlic, and you can chop it up and put it into the food. Do you like garlic, camera woman?
Garlic vine. So instead of growing garlic, we use this garlic vine in our soups and fusions, creating medicine with the plants that are just in our backyard, and it smells so good.
Come check out this. Come get in close here. Let's look at this. This was sandy soil that maybe gets washed out really fast. And what Alan and Jean have done is they've taken this old coconut tree and they made it the barrier for this garden bed. And if you look inside here, that's very, very rich now. It looks like droppings from worms, some mycelium growing, moisture. It holds the moisture in the drier times, and really just starts to. You're feeding the soil that's going to feed your plants. And so a lot of farmers call themselves soil farmers rather than plant farmers, because it's really all about growing the soil and getting the soil to do the work for you. Here's Juan Lama. Every grandmother has this growing in their garden in Costa Rica. It's the cure-all.
This is actually oregano.
Oh, oregano?
This one's oregano. But
Ginger and oregano.
we have.
Ginger,
It looks just like it.
It looks just like it. Yeah. So this is
The tree oregano.
so bountiful that we literally have to cut this back, and we make different tinctures and herb blends,
And it's the other variety of oregano here.
And you can just eat the leaf too?
Oh, they
Yeah.
have small leaf and big leaf. It's pepper oregano, no? I need like a pepper oregano.
So yeah, we're just tasting this beautiful oregano here. And we have a little medicinal garden to start out here.
There is here.
And
Some yucca growing here, or cassava. It's a great root crop. Here's the Moringa, the pharmacy of the forest, where it has more vitamins than everything else basically combined. So having a spoonful of these dried leaves a day is all you need for pretty much every vitamin.
Yeah, and what happened here is the moringas, they really was amazing, bigger, tall, was epic tall, was almost the size of this papaya. And we prune it out. And the ants coming back and eat it, and eating them back, and eating them back, and moringa just keep it growing, keep it growing, keep it growing, keep it growing.
Not just for your stomachs, but it's also good to grow food for your eyes and for the birds and the butterflies and pollinators. And you also can eat pretty much all flowers.
Yeah.
So you can eat them too. Like this, the clitoria, blue, magenta
Scoby.
flower. It's really good in teas.
And we can
For
pass
kids.
out this flower. to
Like
everyone.
that is a, and it's like
You get in there with that.
also in the other side you can find also turmeric. You know, because when we talk about agroforestry systems in mining, right away there's the ground, it's mycelium soil. There is like turmeric. Later is a vine. There is the ginger vine. They got a garlic vine. Later is a citric tree. Later is another tree. And if you could keep it going, you keep it going tall. You know that massive big nitrogen fixer. There's another fruit tree, avocado, a massive big palm there. There can be pejibayas in this other side, akis. So it's like already you see we are in the edge of the agroforestry system. No? Like it's practically like
And peanuts grow really small too, right? The nitrogen fixer.
yeah. Also he just passed me some organic peanuts from his farm, and I planted in our farm in the Pacific, and we harvest like a sack like that of peanuts. Like I'm growing in an agroforestry system.
How long did it take for it to like produce?
I don't know, like 4 months, something like that.
Oh, wow.
I think I'll be growing for 5 months, like something about.
Linia. I remember when you planted that one, Alan.
Oh yeah, we planted this for seed ones 3 years ago when we moved into this area. Our first fruits that we ate was biriba, and we planted, and they are giving.
It's a little
producing
biriba.
That's so cute. Planting for a seed. You already eat like 3 and red, super sweet. And there's another guanabana there, and yeah.
Here's the one Ilama.
He's the guanabana, yeah. And this
This is the one you said.
Stomach like this makes it go away immediately.
Can you eat the leaf or is it
plantain,
just
all these.
You can. I chew on the leaves sometimes. If I'm really got a bad stomach ache, I'll just like chew on some leaves. Yeah, it's got some. I'm sure it does. So many plants.
There is a granadilla here. Look it up.
Nice.
Granadilla, plantain, and aki. The same tree that is in the other side that is fruiting. Also, aki now is fruiting with a neighbor.
When the trees get really big, the roots start like messing with each other.
I want to keep it pruned.
Okay. So there's like a size you want to keep.
Yeah. The thing is also from agroforestry systems is more energy you put, you want to harvest more. If you let everything go wild and bigger, is because you want to share with the animals and you want to just eat more simple. If you want to sell in an agroforestry system, you want to need to be a little more maintained and more energy. Entonces, the energy is relative equal. Like for example, areas of nitrogen fixer.
Yeah.
Depends.
Those
Every
depend.
land have his own challenges. Look, a durian tree behind. That's the same. I want to keep it small. The durian. Like
This one.
yeah, this one is the durian. This one here.
How old is that one?
That is like. Yeah, it's growing here, incredible. I eat a durian here, almost in here to eat the durian, and we keep it that. And I also donate a lot of durians to the community that I planted here. I don't have a farm, and I donate.
So we have coconut trees as the canopy here. They tower through. And then you see in the shade here, we have the bananas and other trees. And this is the nitrogen fixing plant that acts as, these are always good to plant in the garden. They're really good companion plants. Glycidia, it acts as chop and drop. So you take these leaves and then you feed this straight. There's lots of rich nitrogen straight to the plant. It keeps the weeds down and then injects that nitrogen into the soil, and that tree will, this banana will turn it into bananas.
Here, like
And so you don't have to bring a sack of nitrogen here. You basically plant a cutting of that and use just like crazy.
What was that, Paul?
Madero Negro or Glyceria. You can easily plant it with just, if you look here, this was just a cutting. So you literally take a cutting like that, stick it in the ground, and
every time
yeah,
something,
so simple.
he brings vanilla, right? Like support.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how the connection is going to be out here.
All the way to down to there, that side. I don't know if you have a photo of me in a massive pile of biomass that I collected from months of my neighbors peeling here, and all these decompose, and we turn it, and later, all these things they come into be all these beds, because it's all this soil come from the neighbors, and like the soil that I returning back, and biomass that I could put it back again there.
Hiciste como un jugo culture, así como un hueco.
Similar, yeah, but really small, because we have reef that can go to these are jackfruit, an orange variety of jackfruit that comes from Salamanca.
I'm doing a garden. That's like my main problem to make.
Here we have the nurse.
It's like
you can see here, but yeah, this is a nice big breadfruit tree in a bag.
Is that right, or we should work with the coral there?
Maybe we should get closer to the Wi-Fi so we don't lose.
We can spray a little bit, and
I believe that it was like no, like that, but like
Die in the ground. But you can do direct planting. You can take care of it.
no, I'm bringing it.
anybody want a cutting of Wanilama? Yeah, Wanilama. So this is similar to lemon balm. It's almost the medicinal properties of mint and lemongrass. And it's amazing. I put this in my teas. And the way you propagate it is you literally just stick the roots in the ground and it will just start growing. It's great. Anyone want to smell it?
How much sunlight
There you
does
go.
it need?
Melissa?
What was that?
Melissa?
It's way stronger.
It's, yeah, it's
Wanilama.
Wanilama.
I'm thinking of Melissa.
No,
And the name in English is?
Wanilama.
I don't know exactly.
It's really strong.
Yeah, it's in the mint family. But see this act right here, of handing out a cutting. That's one of the most important and ancient acts that we can do.
Sharing.
Sharing this genetics. If this Jean and Alan got this from someone else's garden, got it from someone else's garden for, that went on for hundreds of years. And so this is very important. If you have cuttings, share them.
Anyone else?
You got them from somewhere.
Can I use your scissors?
I don't have scissors. I couldn't find any right now, so I'm just using my hand. Maybe a knife. I couldn't find.
You can take it home and give it a cleaner cut.
Yeah.
Take off. Here's a quick technique for taking cuttings. I like to take off 70% of the leaves, and so it doesn't. And then otherwise, if you have too many leaves, it sucks out the water out the stick. Yeah.
Then you can use the leaves that you
Yeah,
take off
like
for
some tea.
some tea.
Do you want that directly in the soil, or do you want to start that in a little?
Put it in. You want it to be in almost
Water.
full shade in the house or in a place that's not going to get too battered by rain. Keep it moist in soil or water, either one. I try and do both sometimes if I have enough cuttings of the same thing.
Soil or
Just to
water?
see.
Also just water.
You could do
So that the roots start
directly start to water for a couple days and then put it into soil. See, the main thing is you don't want to dry out. And sometimes they grow, sometimes they don't. You just have to try and also after the full moon, a few days after, is kind of the ideal time. Menguante or the waning. Anyone else want a cutting?
Put it back.
Is there a reason for that?
Yeah, there's something about the energy with the moon pulling the energy up into the plant. If it's a new moon, the plants are down to the roots. So if you want to take actually root cutting something, you want to do it in a new moon.
We don't know the scientific basis yet. For that.
There's not exactly like tons of studies on that, but it's just farmer techniques for a long time that seems to work. And you can take cuttings pretty much all the time though, but you'll have faster growth and more, it's more vigorous of a plant if you do it that way, I found.
Yep. There's an excellent resource that's free. It's called La Luna, and Jairo Restrepo made this beautiful biodynamic planting way that is ancient, and like Paul said, it's been working with the cycles of nature. When I send out a recap, I can send you that link to the book. It's in Spanish, but it's a great free resource on planting with the cycles of the moon. Jairo Restrepo.
We'll send a link out later.
Yep.
For this research.
Yeah.
Any question? Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question about like what you guys do for pest management. Like you said that you don't do organic pest management for the ants, but for other things, what do you do?
It depends. I mean, for the leaf cutter, in a beginning of a food forest, if it's completely desertified, you're going to have an overabundance of those leaf cutters. And then so to get that system back into control, it's going to take something that's not necessarily, because I tried organic for many years and it was not working. All my trees kept on getting deleafed.
Did you try the mushroom thing?
Yeah, then worked for a couple months and then they come back and take all the leaves off the trees I was growing for 3 years and have to plant again. So after a few years of things being back under control, though, you don't have to do that anymore. It's just kind of using something extreme like that to get it back under control. But there's tons of different, for fungicides, there's different things that are organic. I'm not really big into pest control. I'm more into increasing biodiversity and soil biodiversity. If you have healthy soil and a really diverse fruit forest, things balance out. There was a moment I was sitting at my farm when I was looking at my lettuce. Well, actually, first I saw a big wasp nest. And I said, "Oh, this wasp nest, that's massive. I don't want to get bit by that." But they're kind of far away from like the path, and I'm just gonna not worry about that. And then I was looking at my lettuce. I had this beautiful head of lettuce, and half of the leaf was eaten. I see this gigantic caterpillar just munching away, having the time of its life. And I was about to, what am I gonna do? Crush it? What do I? I sat there, crossed my legs, and kind of just sat there and observed. And 5 minutes later, a wasp swoops in, cuts the caterpillar in half, and takes half of it away. And I thought, okay, well, I got the rest of the lettuce. And so the more plants, the more bugs, more things you have. Another example, I had pisotes eating all of it's like a raccoon monkey type animal here. They were eating all of the cassava and all of my pineapple. I was devastated, and corn. They were like eating tons of it. And one of them running around a season later, there was 20 running around. And I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do about these things? I guess I'm not gonna be able to eat any more cassava. And then one day I saw some scratch marks from a puma on a tree near the bottom of the river, my farm, and all the pisotes were gone. So things balance themselves out. So it's good to plant more than one. If you want to eat something, maybe plant 3 of them. One for you, one for the bugs and the animals, and one for the soil. And yeah, that's.
Where's the best place to get soil here?
So maybe we can just talk about
cutting.
We can talk about soil building. Just Paul kind of mentioned the soil building, but we started with essentially everything was grass when we came here. And what we did is we asked all of our neighbors to bring us their organic matter. And we started to put the organic matter into beds here. And by making circular beds, by making them a little bit more circular, we're able to maximize more space. So we started with wood. We started with collecting different debris from already from trees that had fallen, from neighbors that wanted to do cleanup in their yards. And we started to build this soil with first wood, coconut husk, then we added a layer of sand. Then we went to the forest to find some mycelium near other trees to bring in some of the forest here. And then we just started planting and bringing all of our mulch and our compost from our daily activity to the beds to build this soil. And this is now 3 years of soil that has been built here, and almost a lasagna of material. You can think of soil building like a lasagna, and you can see the beautiful mycelium from the forest that helps. All the mycelium talks to each other. All the trees are communicating through this mycelium, and mycelium is what helps balance all of the soil and nature and helps balance our entire planet.
And this right here is also a very important tool, because once you do all that, you collect everything you can for organic material. You can take this cutting, which is come up here a second. This is another cutting. Usually you do it with much nicer clippers, but just for the demonstration here, you come in, and then that, after a few years, will turn into this, which will grow up, and in the ground has these roots of Fabaceae plant or leguminous plants have a relationship with nitrogen fixing bacteria that lives on the nodes of the roots and will inject nitrogen to the soil. So if you look up, you see it's growing lots of leaves, and you cut here every a few months, every year. Some ants living there as well. And every time you prune it, what happens if you prune the top, the roots underground also have a self-pruning, and that when it self-prunes, it injects nitrogen to the soil. And so there's two different ways it's getting soil, and then you have lots of biomass that you don't really have to bring from far away anymore. You're growing your own biomass. And
chop and drop is what we call it in permaculture or regenerative agriculture. We just chop and literally just let it go onto our garden to create a layer of mulch, and then the next lasagna layer of soil. So it's just mimicking what's already done in the forest. You think the trees fall, then there's new growth that happens around the trees. We're just accelerating that growth by working with what we know creates nitrogen, chop and drop, allow the different debris to go back onto the agroforest systems.
This also has going back to that question about pest control, I did use this a lot in the beginning stage of my farm when there was this ground worm that was eating all the roots. They're called jogotos. They're big, fat, white worms that just devour the roots, and whole plants of bananas will just fall over because the roots are eaten out. And there can be quite a problem. So taking this Madero Negro, which is very antifungal, makes a really good pesticide. So collecting all these leaves, you can take this whole thing right here, all the leaves down, put this in a bucket with water and cover it and let it sit for 3 weeks, and then it'll smell so bad. But yeah, it smells terrible. But you dump that liquid and the leaves onto the soil around the plants. Not only you can spray it onto the thing. It'll kill all the fleas and those pesky groundworms that are eating your roots, and then also give nitrogen to the plant. So it's a double whammy. Yeah. Yeah, that's another great one. Can be. Oh yeah, this will. If you were to leave the leaves on, it would have lost its leaves anyway. That's kind of how this particular plant doesn't want any leaves left. Herbs are kind of nice to leave a few leaves left on there, but yeah, nitrogen fixing plants don't usually need that.
What do you do with the lobster?
Lobsters?
The crabs. Sí.
I don't know what's the name. No. Crabs, no. The langostas, the big grasshoppers.
Ah,
the
like
ones like this. like my biggest enemy.
Again, if you have a really diverse forest garden, you're going to have birds coming in and devouring them and then excreting that phosphorus and nitrogen onto your garden.
With blue crabs,
So it's tougher nearer to the ocean. It's a little harder to grow the food forest garden, but we're here and yeah, we have to really we don't have the crab problem here on this land, but closer to the ocean we do, and
We
they'll
used to have a lot more crabs
we used
here.
to have a lot more crabs here.
And so I think, yeah, just the
through
raised beds.
Raised beds that helped keep a lot of the crabs out. The crabs kind of just eat your plants and then
They burrow in the roots.
They burrow in
and
the roots.
Mess up the plants growing, yeah.
yeah. But yeah, is there anybody else who wants any cuttings of anything while you're here? Oregano or oregano? Yes.
Clitorius from seed, right?
Clitorial
Yeah.
from seed, and we have tons of pods here that we can give away. Let's see. And then maybe for we can close the online group and continue on. So yeah.
I wonder if there's any questions. I saw some people asking questions online. I think one of them was like, what are the quick growth breadfruit?
Yeah, we could see what other questions are. We can send a follow-up email with way more information about breadfruit, and I'll also send a link to the donation link for Jungle Project and Kiss the Ground to help support the farming program. And then remember to pre-order your book to regenerate your reality. And then we're also doing these monthly webinar series. Our next one will be with Sarah Wu, and she'll talk all about herbalism, and that will be online, and we'll also film that so that we can put it on YouTube for later. So I'll send all of this in a follow-up email. I really appreciate you all joining us for this really important message and way to grow our way out of crisis through planting seeds in our communities, in our gardens, in our schools, becoming our own doctors through being soil doctors, taking care of the planet, taking care of ourselves. And it's just such an honor to have everyone here, and I just thank you all. And yeah, great. Thank you, Paul, for being on this episode. And
Yeah, thanks for coming, everybody. And remember, it's totally possible.
everything is possible.
Check out the future forest gardeners here.